Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 3, part 3, episode 206, but part 3 of our Games of 2024, the podcast series where Noclip talks about the games that we enjoyed the most in this beautiful year that we are just about to wrap up. In fact, Summer Games, so Keighley Awards Fest is on tonight. Is it tonight?
It's in 4 hours as of recording.
So let's go through before we get to our games of the year. Let's go through the group. What is going to be announced? People are saying there's a lot of speculation about things being announced, and some of them are completely ridiculous. So let's go around. What would you like announced? How about that? What do you think is going to get announced, or what would you like announced? Frank, first of all.
I don't know. You know what? Actually, this is always like completely out of the realm, but like some Tony Hawk revival. Because Tony tweeted years ago or months ago, like, we might be doing something. So that would make me happy.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Jesse?
I think I really just want Buck Bumble 2. I also want it to be released for the PlayStation 1 and nothing else.
Nice. All right.
That's it.
Jeremy?
I want Glover, but I want them to do it with like a really edgy 2000s.
Oh, sorry. Did you want actual
Tony's
answers?
serious. I will.
I think Frank's was very.
That was real.
No,
Get out of here.
My serious answer would be, I don't know, Final Fantasy 17, and they come out on stage and they're like, "Fuck it, it's turn based."
Yeah, and this time it's done with the pixel art style. It's HD 2D, baby.
Yeah, it's pixel art and it's turn based, and it runs on a Super Nintendo.
Hey, there you go. Now we're gaming.
I'm just getting sick of waiting for this Bloodborne upscale remaster, whatever the fuck. Just
definitely
release
happening.
it on PC for goodness sake.
Is the main? Let me ask a question out of naivete and ignorance. Sure. Is the main desire for Bloodborne 60 FPS? Is that why people want new Bloodborne?
Predominantly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because it looks so fucking good. I just had to. I'm one of those people who my eyeballs just like. People are like, it looks like trash, and it looks fine to me because something's wrong with my eyes.
I guess having played so many of the FromSoft games with like good resolution, and there's no PC version is the other side of the Bloodborne thing. When I go back and play Bloodborne, it does look like an old ass fucking game because it's all in 30.
The other fun thing is...
I've always been a frame rate snob since I was a teenager. Sorry, Frank.
No, the other fun thing is anytime there's a remaster or a new port is that's a new set of trophies. So you get to hit the doop, boop, boop. Yeah, so that's why I want it.
We're going to give out some trophies today to 3 games. 1000xResist, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, and Anthology of the Killer. If you are skipping ahead for some reason in last week's episode, as far as you're concerned, we gave out 4 awards. Balatro won the My Dad Went Out for a Pack of Balatro and Never Came Home award. Astrobot got the They Made One Like They Used To award. UFO 50 won the Deja Nu award. How are we feeling about Deja Nu?
I'm feeling better about it. It's growing on me. It's funny.
It's a disgusting flavor, and yet I'm acquiring the taste for it. Is that what I would say?
It's an IPA for sure.
Yeah, I'm okay with it too. Frank, you got any mad?
I still like the idea of trying to come up with 50 different award names to find a better one. I think we could do better service to UFO 50, but
you're probably right. I think we can do better.
Yeah.
Meth washing though wins Burns as It Cleans award. And those are the first 4 that we gave out. We have 3 to give out today, and let's start the same way we did last time in chronological order. How about that? First one came out May 9th by Sunset Visitor, crew from Canada, who apparently were kind of out of work. There were a bunch of creatives who did a bunch of in-person stuff as well as digital stuff, and were out of work during coronavirus, and we're like, all right, let's throw together a video game. And boy, when you know that, does that come across in 1000xResist. Jesse, let's throw this to you. You were sort of the big... I feel like you and Jeremy are holding court today. Lorelei was one that you were talking a lot about as well. And Anthology of the Killer is obviously one of Jeremy's games that he's brought to the table. One of his favorite games of the year, that he's brought to the table. 1000xResist. Good luck explaining what this is.
Yeah, I think you put it across well. Sunset Visitor, the team from Vancouver, BC, they were mostly in performance art and experimental art styles, different ways of presenting beautiful themes and ideas and art. And in 1000xResist, this sci-fi bonkers, like anime inspired, literally, like they've talked about it being inspired by Satoshi Kon, but they've also talked about it being inspired by a Philip Glass opera. Like there's a ton of outside inspirations involved in what makes 1000xResist so special, I think. But the main crux of why I think this is so important is because it has some of the most poignant writing of this year in terms of like just a single line of text that'll punch you right in the stomach, and it's so well observed. It finds all these different angles to tell its story. So what 1000xResist is it's a sci-fi, I would say space opera style story about a community of clones, which you learn pretty early on, given the state of the story. They're all clones of the All-Mother, who's a character that you see in the first minute of the game, gets stabbed by the player character, the Watcher. You're experiencing the revelations of what's going on in this universe and what everyone is doing, why there is this society that is closed off of these clones of this girl. Basically, she was a teenage girl when she got taken away and was forced to create these clones. For what reason? Who's to say? Very inspired by Nier Automata. You can see that in a lot of different bits of its storytelling and presentation as well. And the big thing for me, the reason that I wanted to talk about this, and the reason it took me so long to finish it, I only finished it before we started recording Game of the Year,
nice.
Was because, like I said, there are some lines in this game, and I'm very curious to hear what you guys think about
connected
the
with
writing.
you, it sounds like.
Absolutely connected with me on like a really deeply personal level. There was a period of time where I was very concerned about my health personally, and there's a line that one of the characters says pretty early on, at the end of the first chapter actually, where they say, "I don't want to become a photograph like my dad." And when I heard that, I was like, I have to put this down until I'm forced to play it, because that hit me right in the soul. So there's a lot of stuff in 1000xResist that talks about very specific, personal, and also like less specific but more culturally understandable story elements. Sunset Visitor on their website talk about how they are, I think, exclusively made up of developers from the Asian diaspora, so different parts of Asia, living in Vancouver, BC, and working on this game. And you could see the influence of that. Parts of the story are based on the riots in Hong Kong and how that impacted these characters, the generational trauma that comes from that, and how the player character and the All-Mother, who is a girl from the current day, how that impacts it. It's also got ideas about COVID and dealing with the mass trauma of that. Yeah, I mean, literally the opening chapter is like tons of posters of a virus that killed a lot of people and was bad. So yeah, but I'm really curious what you guys think about it, because I know for Jeremy, I know you probably liked it. It seems more your wheelhouse. Danny and Frank, I don't know, where did this land for you, especially Danny, because I know that this is like almost the polar opposite of the thing you go to.
I go first. So just to pull back a little bit, in terms of mechanisms, this is largely a third person.
Yeah.
The thing is, there's not enough. There's no shooting in it. There's no combat really in it. There's some elements that are exploration, but it's kind of but then to call it like a visual novel would be so reductive. Like it is a game that is largely based around going around and having conversations with people and doing text boxes, but it like, I don't know why it really doesn't feel like what I imagined that would be. So this is a game that on a month of Sundays, there is not a hope in fucking hell I'm picking this thing up, right? I'm looking at the art. And to me, it's like when I look at Final Fantasy games, I'm like, I'm glad you like this. People in the world, it ain't for me. But like, you do your thing. This game is fucking great.
That's awesome.
I have not been able to put it down, and it's just I think 60% of the way through. I only started playing it like 2 days ago. It was the last one I got to, but it might be the one I've played the most. And it's definitely the one of the three today, at least, that I have connected with. I think the writing is just absolutely fantastic. And I'm not into a lot of this shit. Like maybe I am. Maybe this is
maybe you need to watch some Satoshi Kon. Put on Perfect Blue tonight and you might like it.
But like the layers of mystery that are unraveled and crucially like paid off. Like I'm constantly being rewarded for asking the questions, not like just having breadcrumbed along. Like by the time I'm like, it's one of these things where we're going to be spoiling stuff to a certain extent in these Game of the Year podcasts. There's no way against it, but there's no way around it. But like, definitely for any game, the story is kind of the everything of this game. There's not, but outside of that, I I think it like for a game that looks as I don't know basic or it looks great. Like
No, exactly.
Yeah.
I know
I've been playing
totally
on
what
the-
you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been playing on the Steam Deck, and it has such a great style, and the cinematography, and the fucking music.
Yes.
Like-
oh my God.
So I'm gobbling up everything here. I'm just coming in here and going nom nom nom, and grabbing everything in the buffet and saying it's good. But no, like legitimately, this is probably in my top 10 of the year as well. And it's
Dude,
not
I'm
a
so
game.
happy to hear that.
I'm so
I
happy
would've
to hear
played.
that.
Oh my God.
I'm both surprised. I feel like I handed my dad like a VHS of Akira, and he was like, "What the hell is this?" And then
I'm
I
not
came in.
that much older than you.
No, you were almost the same age, but it's just this feeling. It's more that I think, I don't know, like anime adjacent aesthetics are sort of like a bugbear for you. Like I feel like it's an aesthetic wall for you to, because you really like high concept sci-fi and these sort of like it's so in your wheelhouse. That I kind of knew you'd connect with this story if you could just jump into it and like get enough to be hooked.
And I feel like my time is kind of like the mouthwashing thing where the economy of storytelling, like it's a similar thing here where like I'm not having to do, I don't feel like there's some games I play and I'm like, just stop talking. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Whereas this never, I had one moment where there was like a mandatory walking sequence where I could not figure out where I was supposed to go.
I had one too. Yeah,
And that was the only time I was like, oh, come on, man.
It's funny too because there were like, I mean, like mouthwashing. We talked about how sort of the two lulls in the entire game were moments where it forced like more traditional gameplay upon you. And I feel like in 1000xResist there were like 2 or 3 times where it was like, okay, don't do this to me because I fucking love this game. Like, don't make me figure out where to go when it's making me slow walk because it's dramatic. But I do think that like what it's doing there is I imagined the alternative version of those sequences where there's a big waypoint blinking and it's like, go over here to reconcile your guilt, or and I was like, I'm glad that they gave me a long enough leash to get lost, because I think that this game requires it. Because like one of those moments is after you witness something fucking terrible and there's nothing you can do about it, but it's like a moment that really radicalizes a player character.
That's the part where I cannot find
where it's like it's close over the shoulder and super blurry.
There's like a depth of field thing going on.
I got really lost. And you're moving really slow and the music is playing. And at first I'm like, wow, this is such a heavy moment. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm fucking
after 2 minutes, I was like, this
nuts.
is farcical.
Yeah.
I've just walked around to where the plants are, and then I was trying to cut back where the bar was, but the road was blocked, so I had to walk all the way back around. I was like, oh, come on.
I
man.
did the same thing. But it feels like it's taking a risk there. It's like giving you a moment that if it was more hands-on, I think would have been a little less effective. So I think that it's like, it's committing to a design ethos that I really respect, even in those moments where it slows down. Or there's another moment very, very late in the game, in the epilogue, where it expects you to navigate an area without a map, and it's this moment where you're kind of reflecting upon
navigating
everything.
an area with a fucking map is not easy in this game.
They didn't have the map, by the way, for like months, I don't think.
Oh, really?
In like the main area, like
when you're
the
in that like
childhood
hub,
one?
which is
really?
so cool. But it didn't have it for a while, so
That's
that was
the
a big
thing.
complaint about
They do
it.
kind of want you to get lost there, I feel like.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure. But yeah, no, in terms of like paying off the player's time, walk around talking to people, sometimes I play games, especially, I don't know, maybe like RPGs, maybe JRPGs in particular, where there's like a world state event, and anyone you talk to in any given town will just be like, I heard the Emperor's back. I heard the Emperor's back. Did you hear the Emperor is back?
Yep.
And I feel like this game respects the player's time so much. In one sense, it's because there's optional dialogue and all of it kind of pays off and contributes, and it gives you like little chunks of individual pieces of perspective. Like we talked about this last time, like a good story is all of these characters and each one represents different perspectives on this core issue. And you really do get like different explorations of things as you talk to more people, but also just like the density of storytelling in this game. I was shocked how much fucking like runway this story had, and then it got to a point where I was like, oh, I'm about halfway through the game and this is where I thought this story would end.
Totally.
And then it just keeps fucking going, and it's still interesting, and it's doing new things. And I just feel like every single chapter was on its own really interesting narratively and structurally. And there's just so much story here. It's awesome.
The only way I realized I was halfway through the game is that I had a long play, because I just wanted to get, we're doing this for Game of the Year, and I wanted to make sure I kind of touched everything. And I was like, oh, it's only like it's like 11 hours on this long play, and I guess I'm like 6 or 7 through or whatever. And I was like, oh, crazy! This like, and it was around the time, kind of before where I am at the moment. I'm not too much further than where you said you had that.
Yeah,
where
the
I got
thing
stuck.
happened.
Yeah, I'm about like 30 minutes past that.
Did you finish that particular chapter?
I'm at the end of that particular.
Okay, because the end of that chapter is fucking nuts. That's
I know.
why
I am like I was rushing to get it done before this because I'm like shit's about to happen now.
Yeah.
But I haven't had a chance to do it, and I think I know what's might happen. Anyway.
Yeah.
But,
Okay, you haven't
Frank-
seen what happens next. Oh man, yeah.
No,
sorry,
so that's
Frank.
the thing. I knew though. Is that the thing you're talking about? That there's like a moment where it all kind of there's a weird. Because there's been a few, I feel like.
there's a lot of moments. I just think the end of that chapter in particular felt like a long one that slows down a lot because it's changing so much about the game world.
Yes.
And then I was like, okay, I hope this isn't like the slowdown moment because Jesse warned me that there was a bit of a pace drop at some point, like around there. And then I got to the end of that chapter and I was like, oh, it's all worth it, baby.
Yep.
This is fucking going nuts.
I think the one that I found the hardest to watch or to be a participant in was, I think, the second chapter, the one with the family dynamic. Like,
Oh, where
that
you're like
was-
going through the different versions of the apartment. Yeah.
Yeah,
the
that
family
was
stuff
hard.
is soul crushing.
Is
Yeah,
chapter
like-
2 the one where you run through the city and there's that big background, or is that chapter
Maybe
3?
at the start that is of
Yeah.
chapter 2.
Okay.
And then it's a lot of it's in the apartment where you go
Yeah.
in with what's her name? Burn.
Oh, Bang Bang Fire.
Bang Bang Fire.
Yeah, my
I
girl
love
BBF.
BBF, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great. Yeah, that stuff. You know, it was a lot of like, the daughter, single child daughter dynamic there was hitting very
bet.
close to home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Frank, I'm interested in what you have to.
Me too.
Yeah, how much
Frank,
you
I
played?
feel like I was so curious what Frank feels about this because I feel like it plays into like comics and manga and anime in a way that I feel like you probably have way more context for than I do.
Yeah, so this is a game I didn't get to play enough of, but I want to, and I know this will be on my Steam Deck for a plane ride and will be perfect. But immediately playing it, I was impressed at the, I guess production value of it, because I thought it would be like the story of this, like in terms of like the game industry, the story of this was like, oh, a very low budget game with a phenomenal story. And I started playing and I was like, oh, this kind of feels like Persona without the RPG stuff. Like literally the first or like that post prologue, that first chapter is you wandering around his school, and I'm like, oh, it's like I'm in Persona.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And I was
Yeah.
like, yes, this is great.
Oh,
and
it's a Frank game.
Yeah. It's anime. Everyone's got the cute haircuts and you're whatever. But like, then the other element is the sci-fi-ness of it reminded me of like Ted Chiang, because there's that story of like story of your life or Arrival, which also deals with like past, present, future time stuff. And so I was like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, the story here is really engaging. What's going to happen? And then like I read on the Wikipedia plot summary of like what's going to happen. I was like, oh, okay. So now I generally want to like sit through and enjoy it. But like, yeah, I was very impressed that just like there was more to this game than what I expected. Because I remember like when this came out in May, people on Twitter were like, whoa, have you guys played this? Like everyone was immediately talking about and praising this. But
If you'd have told me this was like a side team at Atlas made this, I would have been like, it doesn't
could see
feel
it.
like it feels like a smaller game made within a big studio. Nothing about this makes it feel like it came from like a bunch of indies who'd never. I mean, who knows what games they worked on prior to this? I don't know if they did or if one of them did or whatever. But like, it's so polished and
When I played Metaphor, I got back into Metaphor a bunch right after I finished 1000xResist, and I was like, "Fuck, they should let Sunset Visitor write a game." And
my
have,
God.
Have the Metaphor Persona team do like the all the RPG back end like mechanics and combat and stuff.
Where Metaphor ends up going, though, kind of makes it a really good double feature. 4,000 times. If you have 120 hours lying around.
Oh God. That's it. Yeah. Well, hey, we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah.
That's in the next game of the year. Voice acting as well. Absolutely.
Yeah,
terrific.
really, really
really
good.
really good.
Bunch of Irish people in there right from the start as well. I couldn't believe it. I was hearing all these crazy Irish accents. Super fantastic voice cast the whole way through. Really impressed. I was like, are these people in anime or something? Like, because they just sound like they're too good. Like, yeah, I was very impressed by that.
I also just wanted to say, I think thematically and narratively, it does it takes some risks. Like it is a challenging story. It deals with some really heavy real world topics. It deals with the Hong Kong protest that happened like right before COVID kicked off. And it got me reading a lot about sort of like the historical context for that,
Same.
which I always applaud a game when it triggers like real world interest. Or
That's the thing. I was like, which Hong Kong protests are we talking about? Because I was like, are we talking about some future Hong Kong protests? Are we talking about the stuff that happened recently? Are we talking about stuff that happened 15, 20 years ago? Like, so I found that interesting too. I was like, I always thought that they were like throwing a curveball, like they were going like, when do you think this is happening?
I think that is kind of the point, though, right? Because
Right.
the story stuff that you see with the parents, I think takes place in 2046.
Exactly.
So like, are they stressing about one when they were kids, or is it something that happened in 2036 that we don't know
10
about
years
yet?
ago. Yeah.
Which plays with that time travel-y bit of the storytelling. It's cool.
Yeah. And I think off the back of that, it does some things where I think in the hands of less capable storytellers, a lot of really crucial moments in this story would have been like, and then we like reconcile and, you know, the evil people open their eyes and they're like, what have I been doing? But a lot of times, 1000x Resist is like, fuck those people. Like sometimes those people need to die. Sometimes you need to like,
Dude, you got exactly. I know what you're talking about. You got, because you finished it, right?
yeah, I'm talking about like three or four different moments.
There's a lot of different moments, but there's one at the end where I was like, oh, I didn't think they were actually going to just straight up say that. Like, no, man,
yeah.
some people got to fucking go. All right.
I feel like this is
some
like a thing
healthcare
that's
CEOs got to go. All right.
I feel like this is something that's happening in like North America at the moment, where there is this like, because I do think this is a particular, like the idea of killing your enemies is a very thing here in particular, like especially with like democratic norms and stuff, that there is like this sanctity that's around it that in like in Europe where you've had, you know, I'm fucking Irish, right?
Exactly. Yes.
The freedom of a country came as a result of terrorism. So like, yeah, it's funny. In a way, I feel like this game is maybe because I feel like that's what's about to happen in my situation as well. And it kind of already did, I guess, back at the end of chapter 4. But yeah, especially with the, you know, we're really going to date this podcast, but whatever, it's the conversations that are happening around this guy who assassinated this dude. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say that was a good thing to do, but it's creating some interesting conversations.
Yes.
I feel like that you maybe wouldn't have had here about 5 years ago.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I guess that's why I applaud this game taking such risks with its narrative, because I think that when you're telling a story in a piece of media that like thousands of people, there's a wide range of people who will experience this narrative, and I think if you take a risk and say like, you know, I think isn't it like a JFK quote or something? If you make peaceful revolution impossible, you make violent revolution inevitable. I think to embrace that in a narrative takes the risk of alienating some people who are more, you know, like politics of civility minded, that like violence is never permissible and stuff, which I think on a historical scale is kind of, you know, a difficult position to reconcile, especially with like, I don't know, the American Revolution, with like the Civil War, uprisings against slavery,
the original sin of this country.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, we talked about John Brown last week. It's like, how many people would in contemporary times be like, oh, that guy killed like a bunch of pro-slavery people? What an asshole. So I don't know. It's just there's a lot of moments in this game where I was like, it is cathartic to see play out in a situation where in my home country things are so locked down and things are so bound in this harmful status quo that actively harms people, that kills people, that creates what Engels called social murders, which are like unnecessary deaths created by circumstances that are, you know, artificial, like lack of healthcare, lack of food, things that are there that exist but they don't have access to.
Death.
Yeah. And so it's I'm not saying that like my desire for entertainment is to like see the blood on the screen. Like it's not like that. It's just it is cathartic to see situations where there are bad people doing bad things, and the resolution to the story isn't like a twee trite little like, and then we sprinkle the fairy dust on them and they realized they were bad all along.
Yeah. They understood our plight and they were friendly. No.
It reminds me of the line we had in that Monkey Island doc where the artist was saying, Rex was saying, in adventure games we just reward you with good art. Like we reward you with new rooms to look at that are nice. And this game just rewards you with better story. And it's very adventure gamey, just without an inventory. Like there's actually one part of the game that is literally the insult sword fighting from Monkey Island that they have that they have utilized. I mean, a part where you're having a conversation and you have to match answers with questions. It's literally lifted from LucasArts stuff 30 years ago.
Oh, yeah,
So
I
when
guess
that
that's
happened,
true.
I was like, oh, cool. I know exactly what I'm doing here.
That part in my head I called Cosmic Jeopardy because you're kind of like reverse
pretty good.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. Ding ding. Try again. Yeah. It's great. Really good. Thank
Nice.
you for.
I'm so
forcing
glad
me
you
to
like
play
it.
it.
I
Dude.
seriously,
that
I
warms my heart. I
was so
could have gone
worried.
either way.
It may still for some of the others. So I'll just warn you
Oh boy, I wonder which one.
right away. What do we think? Anything else to say about 1000 Times Resist? Before
I called this game on Blue Sky a supernova. It's so dense with everything that it's doing, all of the topics it covers, all of the ideas it covers, and it explodes outward into this like just destructive mass at the end of it. Like by the end of this game, I felt things that I didn't think video games would make me feel. There's a moment, Danny, you're not there yet, so I will not explain.
Okay.
But Jeremy knows what I'm talking about, where like an hour in, I was thinking about something and I was like, is this going to happen? And then it did the footage thing, Jeremy. You know what I'm
Oh,
talking
yeah,
about?
yeah.
When it did that, I was like, okay, you're good. You're good. When it did that, I was like, I cannot believe they actually did it. And it hit me so sharply in the chest. As someone who doesn't know anything about his own family's culture, my father died when I was really young. So not knowing anything about the Dominican Republic makes me feel bad at times because like there's a part of myself that's missing that I don't know the background of. And so that bit in the game that I just explained, when that happens, I don't know. It's very rare that I see things that capture so many different, unique, and specific ideas. And again, like Jeremy said, it made me want to learn about the history of a country or a place. Depends on who's listening to this, I guess. That I just wanted to know more about it and learn the history of it and watch documentaries. And I think that's the highest mark I can give to any work is if it gets, especially a video game, if it gets me to leave the screen and read a book, you have succeeded.
all right, what are we thinking of for names for 1000 Times? This is gonna be fucking hard.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
This is gonna be fucking hard. What is it I mean, the story. Let's just
Yeah.
get that out of the way. I think it won Best Narrative in the IGF or something, or was nominated.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, not even. I can't believe it's not up there for the Game Awards. I mean, I kind of can, but
Is it in the player one? I don't know. What are you laughing at, Frank?
The immediate thing was like, I wish Roger Ebert was alive because video games are art. I just think of that Cliff Lazinski tweet that was like, if Ebert was around to see this, because
Pissing on Ebert's grave award.
No, this is like Ebert would have liked this because Ebert liked I don't know.
Ebert Validation Award.
Yeah, the Ebert
they
validation
did
games
love
are art
anime.
award.
Siskel and Ebert were huge
Yeah.
on anime, so he might have liked this.
But it's like
funny.
there's something about it being anime and still getting like Danny getting people to like it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't dislike anime, but I have a very thin window.
Yes.
maybe.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
Can we give this best AMV again?
Again? Yeah. God, you're right.
It kind of works. It's got really good
Kind of
music.
does work,
It's a little anime-y.
and it's mostly story
Yeah.
and vibes based. You know,
I feel like this
AMV
game
is-
would go really well with a Avenged Sevenfold song too, so it might be perfect.
Have you seen that mod for the end of Half-Life 2 Episode 2 where the credits roll and it's that Linkin Park song?
Oh,
and-
the What I've Done.
yeah. In the end.
Oh, in the end.
It's,
Oh,
yeah, it's in
okay.
the end. And Kleiner is doing Chester, and Eli is doing. Is it Mike Shinoda? Is that his name? Yeah, yeah. They're rapping it, and the Valve credits are going up. It's fucking amazing.
That's awesome.
It's unbelievable. But they modded it into the game now. It's like an old video. It's great. Anyway, sorry. Best AMV is literally. I'm not massively.
We haven't
against that.
done-
It would be the only repeat award
Yeah.
we've ever had. Although I would say in the opposite spirit of the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I think it's funny. I think it sells a little bit short the
absolutely.
like narrative
Yeah.
achievement of this game.
1000%.
Because like
Resist.
I had like some joke titles. 1,000 thumbs up. Like there's low hanging fruit there.
Yeah, that's free.
But
That's good. I like that one though.
but yeah, I don't know. This is a really tough one. It has to be something about how this game deals with like the reverberation of themes throughout time, the cyclical nature of all of these sort of like struggles that people put up. It's just hard to condense that into a punchy little turn of phrase.
Yeah.
All right, should we come back to it then?
I think so.
This is a back burner one for now.
Okay, all right. Let's go just 7 days later to May 16th when Simogo released a game that on the face of it is shares some thematic development sort of ground with 1000xResist. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, a puzzle game with fucking great style as well, kind of anime-ish, also locked cameras, it's doing a lot. Whereas I feel like one of these games, when they were playing Game Dev Hero, put all of their money into story, and this one put, let's say, $9 out of the $10 into, let's make some fucking puzzles. Let's take the color out of this game.
Yeah.
We'll add the money from the color into
Sell all the color.
Sell the color.
How much can I give for the
Lauren,
red and green?
Hey, Jesse, do you want to take this one as well? This
Sure.
is, you talked about it before. It's kind of like, it's puzzle Resident Evil 1 or something. I don't know something like that.
That's basically how I described it. Yeah, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, my game of the year. This is, basically Resident Evil without the zombies. How do you make a game like that? The Resident Evil games are known for having really straightforward puzzles that are more about finding the pieces than they are about figuring how they go together. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes focuses much more on forcing the player to observe and think about things in ways that you probably wouldn't, shapes and considering their orientation. There's puzzles where you have to think about the layout of different rooms. So just on a technical level, some of these puzzles are, I would argue, the best that I've played in maybe any game in the last handful of years. And I love puzzle games. I love Sokoban puzzle games, weird esoteric ones. This takes the cake for me. But then presentation wise, on top of the way that it does all of these really esoteric puzzles, each one is presented as its own little puzzle box in this floating darkness. Sometimes it's in the context of where you're using the puzzle. Sometimes it's a box. Sometimes it's a number code thing, a dial. There's lots of different fun little interactions that you have to do to solve the puzzles, which is great. And then the story, the world, like Danny said, it's monochromatic. It's got just a lot of grays and then bright pinks and purples and reds, and it does a lot with those colors to signify things, but not to give puzzles away. It's not like a free visual hint system. It's not like, dude, climb the yellow paint. This is purple and pinks are in your soul, baby. It's gonna make your eyes water. It's very
white chalk in Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah, that's right. There is. Yeah, but it's okay because it's Indiana Jones. He's good at artifacts, not climbing and parkour. He needs the help. But yeah, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, the focus on its imparsible, is that a word? Presentation of its story, and it's you figure it out by the end. The story itself is its own puzzle, which is really cool. And it has this layer to it that I won't get into because I'm sure you guys are not far enough yet. You did not have enough time, unless you are, in which case, hey, congrats. The meta narrative of Lorelei is, to some extent, the act of making a video game, which I think is an incredibly cool way to make puzzles for a digital space. To acknowledge the fact that these are made in this way, the memory addresses and stuff like that, the way you think about that, glitches are a part of the puzzle solving in Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. So there's a lot of that stuff there. It's just it's just so special. It's doing so many things that I wanted to see in the game as time progressed. I would see something and go, oh, I wonder if that'll be important later. And it was 15 hours later. I was now we're playing video games, baby. Yeah, what did you guys think about it?
What I like about it, I feel like maybe I haven't played enough, but I really liked what I've played so far.
Nice.
I thought maybe, I don't know, 20 puzzles or something like that maybe. And some of them were fucking hard going.
Yeah.
What I like about it, I think, as well, is Sayonara Wild Hearts was a game that I kind of wanted to like more than I did. It was a game that felt like it had a lot going on stylistically, but just gameplay wise was too threadbare for me to really be interested in it at all. And sometimes I worry when you have studios that are really good at the visual stuff and the style and the panache, and they just can't, there's something almost more disappointing to me when you see a game that looks really good and then doesn't connect with you on that level. I think the game that Cassie, what's it called again?
Plucky Squire. That's one of those
Plucky
games
Squire.
for sure.
Yeah, I think that for a lot of people that was one of those, right? And I think that's why Edmund Macmillan's games did really well, is because they were marrying, interesting graphics, but with novel games like Isaac and Meat Boy are great little games as well. And I'm like shocked at how much they leaned in the let's make a goddamn video game direction. Like this feels like it's kind of from a different studio. I've not played enough of their games prior to Sayonara Wild Hearts, so I might be wrong, but I'm shocked that if you told me that this is in the same studio, I guess visually there's definitely like some shared heritage there, but like color wise it's on the completely opposite end of the spectrum. And then gameplay wise it's so confident and assured. It's like, and the puzzles are like really sharp and challenging. I'm super impressed by it, and
That's great.
It's another one of these games where I definitely will play more of. Like I have been sitting down in the evening and going, yeah, all right, it feels like doing a crossword or something. I think the black and white nature of it, like,
the meanest thing you could say about a video game, but I totally know what you're
like
saying.
a crossword.
Me too. But it's like, hey, all this hard work is just basically like filling in letters in a box. But it's true. I love it.
Does in many ways. It feels like like someone took a book of some of like the 1001 best puzzles ever, like a book that someone would have by like in a bin by their toilet or something, and people are like, oh, what the hell is this?
A great comparison, because you literally get a book of puzzles in the game.
Totally. Yeah, I saw that. But it feels like someone took that and they built this whole world around it that really does justice to it, and also, like you said, like, you know, plays into video game tropes and ideas about games and game design. I completed maybe like, there's like a completion meter. I think I did like 30 something, like almost 40%. So a pretty good chunk of this game.
Nice.
I really liked it. I fucking love puzzles, dude. There's something about it where it's like, I'm not good at them, and I think that's why I like them, because when I solve them, I'm like, it's almost out of spite, or I'm like, I fucking told you I could do it. Like every time I play a survival horror game, I hit the puzzle and I'm like, oh, this is where it ends. This is where the run dies. So yeah, I just the puzzles they were challenging, they were thought provoking, they were very diverse in their approach. Some of them feel like SAT practice questions. Some of them feel like Resident Evil Mansion questions.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. And stylistically, obviously, it reminded me. Clearly, there's like a whole set of puzzles that are referencing these in-world movies from like the 40s to the 60s or something. And to me, this reminded me a lot. It had like little shades of a lot of like Fellini almost, or like maybe like French New Wave a little bit, like that era of European filmmaking. It feels like there's like a little bit of there's like the I don't know what you'd call him, the like old man in the impresario. I don't know what you fucking call him.
Even her, like she's so new wavy, you know what I mean?
Totally, like, she'd be driving like a tiny little Fiat, smoking a cigarette or something. So yeah, I don't know. It's just it has some joie de vivre going for it that is
well done.
It contextualizes all of these puzzles in a world that feels worth exploring and interesting and aesthetically rewarding. Really, really cool game.
Yeah, it reminded me of Resident Evil 1 in the fact that you start just outside. Well, I mean, technically you start inside the mansion in Resi 1, but like you're by the time I had done like 10 minutes of this game, I already had like 5 or 6 things that I was super wanting to know what the answers for these things were. Like stuff that was outside the mansion, like what's going on with her, some of the letters that had been left around, some of the doors you couldn't get access to. I think one of the things that I really enjoyed the most is there is a very tactile, satisfying nature to the puzzles and the interfacing that you do with them, like the way you pop the top of a lock, or the way that like even she takes out the inventory every time you have that opportunity to like grab something, and then opens up the bag and all that stuff, all that animation. And then the individual way that they would like frame the puzzles, all that stuff was just so slick, like really, really visually just perfectly pulled off. Yeah.
This selection screen for when there are multiple options for how to interact with something as well, it pops up and it's kind of this like Murnau era silent movie title card kind of thing, where it's really cool. I mean, we talk about this a lot, that like oftentimes when games are doing something that feels very fresh and novel, it's something that is drawing upon a world that's outside of games. And I think that that's what's so aesthetically strong about this, is it feels like you're playing a movie that was made sometime between 1920 and 1960.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to your point, Danny, about the studio's back catalog, I had only heard about them from Sayonara Wild Hearts previously. But after I finished Lorelei, I was posting about it, and someone, I don't remember who exactly, it was on Twitter, I haven't been on Twitter in weeks, was very nice in reminding me that actually they made a lot of video games, a lot of like mobile stuff. If you just take a look at the studio's history, their breadth of
Year
work.
Walk.
Yeah, they made Year Walk. They made, I can't remember the other name, Device 6 was a big puzzle game on
Yes.
mobile. So their
Yes.
art styles all over the place, their gameplay styles all over the place, and the further you get in Lorelei, you can see the however many, it's got to be at least a decade, because Your Walk was like 2011, so like
yeah.
decade plus of time that they've had
Beat
making
Sneak
different games.
Bandit.
Yeah,
That's a
right?
game
Like-
I haven't thought about in fucking forever.
It looks nothing like this.
No, it's like a cartoon, little
Yeah.
action rhythm puzzle game.
So their
Man.
history like really feeds into, again, later portions of Lorelei, and you could see like, oh, they know how to utilize their history in making interesting puzzles and interesting presentations for them. So it's a really, really special game.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, great game. Excited to play more. Frank, how about you with this bad boy?
I like that it's got a Game Boy in it. You find it.
It does have a game.
That
boy
is
in
true, it does,
It
yeah.
does.
I will also give praise to like the way it logs everything in the game. I forget, like you have your memory book and everything. It's just like everything you find you can access at any point, which I think is really helpful. But yeah, within like 5 minutes, you had to do stuff on a calculator. I'm like,
You're like, put it down.
but like I loved Sayonara Wild Hearts. Aesthetically, it is cool. It also reminds me of like Killer 7, just like the limited color scope. Yeah, I appreciate the fact that it is very Resident Evil, and the note about it being very meta. As soon as you walk in the mansion or the hotel, you hear someone being like, "What do you mean there's not going to be any combat? There's no put a zombie in it." Like you hear this, and I was like, okay. I respect that it's doing what it's doing, but it's like, yeah, there's something about like puzzles. I just can't. I don't know. But
That's fair.
Yeah, it's really like if you couldn't get down with math class, if you were one of those kids whose like parents were yelling at them about how to it's math, it's just multiply the two numbers together.
I was generally, as I was playing it, I was thinking back to high school, like 10th, like I had like a huge disconnect in algebra, and like that caused severe anxiety, and I was like, something, I don't know. So I was just like,
You're having like flashbacks. Like,
Yeah,
like
I don't know,
trauma
like,
flashbacks.
genuinely,
School.
I think I was too shy to like ask. I think it was the thing as a kid,
yeah.
like I missed a lesson or whatever, and I was too shy to like single myself out.
Don't want to be stupid.
And then the teacher was always antagonistic to me. So there was one specific teacher, and like
Let's get her full name
No,
here.
no.
Let's call her
I remember
Lorelei.
My one story from that though is like I remember when we had to do like the math portion of the SATs or something. Not the end. What there's like the thing you take and go to college. That's the SATs. In California, we did some standardized testing every year that like didn't matter. You personally didn't matter. It was like so the school could get their budget every year. We had a math portion, and I just went turned it into the class, and the teacher was like, "Are you done?" Yeah. Because I didn't even bother trying because like I don't know any of this. Yeah. Are you done? Yeah. And she got so pissed at me because that was going to reflect poorly on her. But it was like, yeah, you were so cold to me, and I am still traumatized by it 20 years later. Anyway,
Wow.
That's
Yes.
not.
Here's the bed you made.
Yeah, this is not this is not Simogo's fault. I love Sayonara Wild Hearts, Game of the Year 2019. But aesthetically, I have a friend who will love this. My friend Ryan loves puzzle games. He loves getting pads and papers out. I like that the game
he'll
is
need
like.
them.
Yeah. I like that the game instructs you. It's like, hey, make sure you have a piece of paper and stuff out, which is cool. But yeah. But aesthetically, it's cool. But yeah, I just don't like puzzles.
That's fair. Puzzles are very polarizing.
Totally.
Yeah, what was your friend's name?
Dr. Ryan. He is a
Dr. Ryan.
Yeah. And this
this
game,
A doctor of puzzles.
and this game is now on PlayStation, which is how I played
There you
it, so
go.
he can get the platinum. So yeah.
Terrific. Another game I enjoyed. Both games Jesse recommended were Steam Deck compatible, Steam Deck good, and they
Yeah.
are both Steam Deck good. I will say.
Nice. Good.
Maybe it helps. As well. Like both these games probably I think kind of look punchy on a small screen. I kind of don't really want to play them on my big. I have a widescreen monitor here. I think I've said before. One of
the
our
ultra
patrons
wide?
sent to me. Yeah, which
Yeah.
for Indiana Jones, let me tell you, was fucking lifesaver because it plays natively widescreen on this thing.
Oh,
which is
cool. Like in the
amazing.
cinematic mode?
but without the bars.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it does. So I get it full. And also, I think in a way, indie kind of warmed me up to this one because indie has a lot.
Yeah.
Like the thing I've been enjoying the most in indie maybe is the puzzles, and we'll talk about that next week.
I can't wait. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Nothing
that
more.
should be fun.
Indiana Jones. Good game.
Any other thoughts on Lorelei? In some ways, it is sort of like a simple game. It's doing 3 or 4 things incredibly well, and then that's it. So yeah, is there anything else you guys want to say about it?
I love how French it is. And the music's really good. I bought the soundtrack and I listen to it all the time. It's so good.
Cinema.
Le cinema.
Le cinéma.
Yeah,
Who's the French?
It's stylish as shit. I really enjoy this. Jesse, I was gonna get around to this eventually, but I'm very glad that you. It's one of those games where I don't know. Sometimes you see a game, and you're like, I know that's good, and you just keep kicking it down the road. And I
have the
someone
same
to
problem.
Just tell me
where you're just like, I know it's good. Like people are like Metal Gear Solid's good. I'm like, okay, well then why would I play it? I already know it's good.
Shit, you never played Metal Gear Solid?
I've never played any of them. I'm rectifying it next year. I promise.
God.
Noclip Crew. Subscribe now. No, I'm just kidding. But I am very excited to play them. I like those games.
Metal
Theoretically.
Metal Gear. That's the name of the.
Holy
the name
shit!
of
It
the
writes
show.
itself.
Metal Gear.
I'd watch it.
Metal Gear Scanlan was already done on Giant Bomb, so we can.
Oh yeah.
We've already stolen quick looks, so why not just go whole hog? Okay. Awards.
Yeah. What do you?
I have written down puzzle and style.
Well, there you go. The
Most
puzzle style
stylish
award.
puzzle.
Yeah.
Jeremy mentioned cigarettes as well. I'd love to see. I could see Lorelei and the clown from Balatro, who apparently is Ben Starr. Did you see that trailer?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ! Have you seen that, Jeremy?
No, what
There's
Ben started the voice of the Joker.
No. You should.
Let me just get a screenshot for you.
Yeah, There's a new trailer out for the. I think it's a Game Awards thing for the new Balatro. What's it called? Friends Pack or whatever. When they bring in a bunch of other games, and it has the most psychotic trailer. I've ever
my
seen.
god!
Yeah, he is straight up fucking.
He is schlorping that nanner.
Oh no!
It's something else. It's giving me nightmares. Ben Starr, of course, famous from our Soul Reaver documentary. That's what he's most known for.
Oh wait, 1000xResist is in this? What the fuck?
Yeah, they added it. Yeah, it's like it's such a funny trailer, and then it cuts to like the most gut wrenching line from the game. And you're like, what? I have to call my mom.
Jesus Christ!
But yeah, I can imagine him sitting there for a cigarette. You know,
Yeah,
it's got
for
that
sure.
same vibe to it. Yeah, what do you think, guys? Puzzle, Master of Unlocking. Do we give it? We give
Master of Unlocking award. Yeah, another continuing award.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like if it reminds me. The feeling I got from Lorelei was, it feels like you're sitting down with like a good book or something. You know, like I don't know. I'm picturing because you said cigarette, and I'm picturing this game is kind of like the workday is done, and I just need to like unwind, and it's like I'm smoking the most stylish cigarette, one of those big long holders.
Exactly. Yeah, Cruella de Vil style kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It is. It's like sitting down with like not a whiskey, like a gin or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a gin.
Or like an espresso.
Sitting down, and like doing some puzzles, and there's some like sort of not jazz. There's something else. There's like maybe jazz.
It's
Maybe
like
probably jazz, yeah, like a
But
deep
not
jazz.
like elevator jazz. Like
No.
like something cooler than that. More
cool, like
refined.
Duke Ellington, like fucking.
It's like if your dad was real classy and he sat down to do the crossword, but he was really French about it, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Dad's French newspaper award.
Should we give it a French named award?
Oh.
Like a sophisticated like
You speak a little French, right?
a petit peu. Yeah.
Oh, speak a little French for him.
Je m'appelle Daniel. I'll start with the basics. Yes.
Work my
I
way
didn't know
up,
you were
baby.
fluent, bro. Well done.
J'habite dans les États-Unis. Do you know
my
that?
goodness.
The United States and America. The États-Unis.
I could hear the Duolingo sound effect going off.
Exactly, yeah. I'm not sure where Canada is.
I was thinking of like the Palme d'Or came to mind, which is like the Cannes Film
Oh,
Festival. So it's
okay.
like there's like either like the gaming equivalent of the Palme d'Or. You can also do a play on words with like a door, like unlocking a door.
Yeah.
Like,
What does
unlocking
Palme
a
d'Or even mean?
Palm Lador.
Palme d'Or. Make it even more French than Le Palme d'Or.
I've got a Palme Lador with this puzzle solution that I got.
But also the studio's Swedish. So I don't even know the French, but
They speak French in Sweden, don't they?
yeah,
Right?
they speak everything.
hope-
They're so smart.
Look, where's Interpol from? Are they look kind of new wavy and they're
That
from
British
fucking,
band?
No, they're not British. They're from like are they from New York actually?
Oh, Interpol's American,
Yeah,
Manhattan.
sorry. Yeah, they are, aren't they?
What the
They're
hell?
American. I feel like they've been pulling off the.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Stolen
Danish
British valor.
or
Or
something.
something.
I never thought they were
Very-
English because they have a weird accent, but I for whatever reason I stolen British valor. God.
Cultural valor.
I'm thinking of then Seventh Seal is Bergman, the
Oh,
Ingmar.
Killer Seventh Seal
Oh,
or something.
my
Oh,
God.
that is
Jesus
so good.
Christ.
It actually has
God
a reference.
damn.
You guys are not there. Has a reference to Killer 7 in the game
really?
too.
Yeah.
So that's perfect.
Killer
And
Seven.
Seven Seal, for those who've watched it, it's like an old Bergman. Is it a horror movie or is it?
It's existential.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's philosophically
seen it.
horrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the thing where you're playing chess with the devil, which was later referenced in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Oh, you're right. God, you're right.
about that,
Dropping some cinematic
And
specialties
it's
here.
Swedish.
yeah.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Killer Seven Seal.
Yeah, that's not
That's
bad.
so good.
That's
Wow.
pretty good. It's almost like it's oh god.
Dude, you solved the puzzle that
Yeah.
quick. That was great. Well done.
Well, there you go. Also, the name is kind of a puzzle. Like,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
don't know Killer 7 or 7 Seal well enough, you do have to kind of do a little bit of work to
Yeah.
figure it out, which is, you know,
Dude, we're cooking.
what is a puzzle if not work to figure something out?
What is gameplay if not work?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I'm going to throw Killer 7
I
Seal.
can't wait to talk about
good.
Anthology
I
of the
like
Killer. I can't wait because what you just said.
Well, he
I was-
mentioned gameplay.
That's foreshadowing.
Oh, good point. Oh, burn. Oh, I know where this conversation's going. Somebody didn't like
I have
Anthology of the
nothing
Killer.
bad to say about any of the games on this.
No
at all.
bullying.
Genuinely, I do not. Okay, my French is not that good that I can just turn, just for fun, I'm gonna throw Killer 7th Seal into Google Translate, and it just spat out Killer 7th Seal. So I guess
yeah.
it doesn't.
Perfect.
It doesn't really care. Killer is probably.
La Killer.
It says Killer.
I believe
have it
it's
the wrong way
Le
around.
Killer.
That's what I have. Sorry, Killer 7 Seal, Septem Seal. Oh no, it's 7 Seal. Killer.
If you add
Yeah.
another layer to this, then every time we add another
That's
layer of
bad.
abstraction, fewer people will understand the reference.
True.
Perfect.
That's true.
Translate it back into English. See what we get.
I'll translate it
that-
into
Into Japanese.
ASCII or binary or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. There you go.
Killer 7
Esperanto,
Seal
maybe.
Award.
I really
Or
do
just
like
Killer
it, yeah.
7 Seal.
Yeah, Killer Seven Seal. Oh wait, yeah, the Killer Seven Seal. Yeah, we're just giving a snappy title. I don't know. Killer Seven Seal.
Dude, Killer 7 Seal.
Killer Seven Seal just sounds cool.
It's killer.
It's just giving it a different title, but
Yeah, if you say the Killer 7 Seal Award, it doesn't sound as cool. But,
Yeah.
So let's just
Plus,
be
a
cool
seal. A
and
seal
sophisticated.
is like a type of award. You know.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
good.
Yes, Jeremy. Yes.
It's also an ocean mammal.
That's true.
Does that? I haven't completed it yet. Is that relevant?
Is that included? I don't think so.
my literal interpretation
spoilers.
is seal
Sorry.
is also is like it's you seal something, it's locked. The whole game is unlocking puzzles. That's where. I
And
was
also,
like,
Oh,
Kiss
shit.
from
So
a
good.
Rose. You know, it's a beautiful song.
It's got so many layers.
Yeah.
A lot of references to Kiss from a Rose in this game.
There's a garden of roses.
Yeah, the roses are a big thing, I guess. Yeah, sort
That's
of.
true.
visually.
My
They're
pleasure,
pinkish.
my pain.
Oh god,
Baby.
dude, I love Batman movies.
Fuck yeah, I want to listen to that. Isn't that so weird? That was in the
That's so
Batman
weird.
soundtrack.
What Batman movie?
Forever.
Batman and Robin, was it?
Was it
Forever?
and Robin?
You're right, it was
Yeah,
forever.
Forever.
I haven't
yeah.
seen that movie.
the
in
music video
forever.
is Seal in Gotham City.
Yeah.
It's sick.
That's
Music
awesome.
video is amazing.
Yeah.
There's also that U2 song. Was I think that movie
Love me,
too,
kiss
wasn't
me,
it?
kill me, throw
Yeah,
me.
which is a great man. Fucking Frank here, dropping
know- He knows his Batman trivia.
yeah. Do we need a break before we keep going, or should we just keep on going?
I'm cool
I'm
either
alright.
way.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
good.
All right, let's keep moving.
rock and roll.
Game that came out a little bit late. Wait, did they all come out in May? Is
Yes,
this
they
it?
did.
That is crazy. That yesterday we had almost all September games.
It's
The May.
be my.
Banger May, and
Sorry,
and also a game that like kind of fits here. Like these games,
dude.
in
I
a
said
way, are-
last week. This is Freak Week.
It is. It's freak. It's Freak Week, but they're all freaks in the same way.
Yeah,
Yeah, May is for
Anthology
freaks, baby.
of the Killer. It came out May 28th. Was that on itch originally, Jeremy?
It was on itch. Yeah, the Steam release was I think October of this year, which is when I started recommending it to people because asking people to go to itch is like being that guy who's really annoying when he recommends stuff.
You did recommend this on Steam. When I went to the reviews, yours was the top of the page for me.
Same.
I read your review. He apologized for the amount of hours he had on Steam because obviously he'd completed it on itch.
Yeah,
Um,
didn't
I didn't want
look
people
like
to
a
think
fake
I was
fan.
one of those guys
Yeah.
who plays like an hour. They're like, "Oh my god, this is the best game." After playing the first 2 chapters.
The developer on the website is like listed as the Catamites and Tommy Tone, and then A. Deegan, which I think you previously said was a.
Yeah, let me clarify this. So I was unsure last time because the Catamites is a developer who has multiple different aliases over the years. I believe their real name is Stephen Gilmurphy.
He's Irish.
Yes.
He's from Dublin. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this game has a very Irish sense of humor. Then AD Gen, I believe, so these were Anthology of the Killer is a collection of 9 sort of individual chapters that, if I am not mistaken, were each released individually between 2020 and 2024. Anthology of the Killer is the collection of all of them with a little bit of some bonus stuff, sort of like a hub world that connects them, a little bit of extra. I think the ending is probably new on top of that. ADGen, I believe, was sort of like a guest artist for the anthology version of this. There's sort of like a movie poster for each chapter, and I believe ADGen was the person who contributed those, and perhaps some other stuff to this. And then Tommy Tone is, I think, the musician for all of this. This game has fantastic music throughout.
Yes. Very true.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
do you want to give us a rundown of what Anthology of the Killer is, because it is literally an anthology of games that were previously released.
So Anthology of the Killer is the dumbest and the smartest game I've ever played in my entire life. It is a comedy horror game about a girl named BB, who is a publisher of a zine. You know, like, if people don't know what zines are, remember them. They're little tiny DIY magazines that you'd see them in your local like punk venue or bookshop or whatever. So BB is a purveyor of zines and lives in this world that is sort of like, it's this bizarre funhouse mirror version of the real world. A lot of the elements of this horrifying world of horror. This is no relation to the game World of Horror. It's like an amplified version of things in the real world. So last time we talked about this game, I mentioned that in the real world, if you go out at 4 a.m. in a major metropolitan area, you might see crime or whatever. In the world of Anthology of the Killer, they have to like steel bar up all the windows and doors because there's like roaming bands of serial killers in the streets at night and stuff. So this is sort of like take elements of the real world and turn the absurdity and intensity knobs up to 1,000. And so effectively it's a game where you're walking around and exploring environments in this world, talking to people, sort of going through these semi-linear narratives and just living out these sort of little vignettes, little slices of this world that each sort of tackle a different topic, a different subculture, a different sort of lens on this world. There are a lot of things I really like about this game. I think it is probably a polarizing game because it's very fucking weird. It's very simple in its gameplay. Essentially, you're kind of just going around hitting text nodes, reading. Occasionally, you run from a monster like a few times per episode. Usually, there's like a little chase sequence that's kind of funny. There's some more like interactive stuff, like little like feedback cards at the hotel you get to fill it out and stuff, and it's just sort of like fun interactivity. But it kind of it reminds me a lot of, it feels like an interactive comic sometimes, both in its
that's true. Yeah.
It's
like a zine.
interactive sense of it does. I mean, it is like a zine game about zines that is a zine. But it there's a bonus room at the end of the game, and one of the things in the bonus room is a list of influences for the game. And Jesse and I were setting it back and forth the other day. I have heard of like 10% of them. They're like a ton of shit I'd never even heard of that wasn't even on my radar.
What type of stuff are we talking about? Like,
so a lot of them were like comics and graphic novels from artists that I'd never even heard of. And so I think that's part of the alienness of this game's feeling, is that it's drawing upon a lot of cultural references and influences.
Yes.
It's drawing, yes, it's literally drawing upon them. And like things that are so outside of my wheelhouse. And I think that's part of the reason I found this game refreshing. There's a million things that it does good outside of its references and cultural touch points and stuff, but just the general tone of what it's doing and what it's trying to do feels so alien to me that I found that very refreshing. It didn't feel like it didn't feel like I was playing a video game. When I was playing it, I was like, it's so weird that a video game can feel like that. This is a flavor of video game that can exist. But I think the thing that elevated it, the reason that I really, really love it is that it feels very sincere in dealing with a lot of sort of feelings of alienation from the world. And we obviously talked about this a little bit when I brought up the game at first, but it's like it's like a funhouse mirror of the world, but the funhouse mirror, in being so fucked up, is like letting you see the world more clearly. It's kind of like it's doing that magic trick that like a stand-up comedian does, where they draw upon an experience that everyone sort of has and recognizes, but in abstracting it into the form of a joke, it actually like illuminates a deeper truth about the thing that they're talking about, that, it makes something click in your head. That's like the magic trick that comedy does. And I think this game is very funny and very sincere and just like whip smart in the things that it tackles. It is yeah, it's making like commentary on a lot of things that I think in the hands of a less capable, less funny, less intelligent person would feel very like. Jesse made a joke when he started playing this game that this was like the Newgrounds version of the New Yorker, which I think is fucking hilarious. But I also think it's reductive because I know you were joking when you said that.
Yeah.
But it's like the New Yorker when it tries to talk about serious things is like, let's see how sophisticated we are. I think Anthology of the Killer is a game that is both sophisticated and anti-sophistication. I think it's a game that is like making fun of the idea of being very serious about these things while also seriously tackling topics that like I never see tackled in video games. And so, yeah, I have a lot more to say about it, but I'm very curious if you guys vibed with it, if you found a chapter that resonated with you, what people thought.
Jesse?
Yeah, I mean, so when Jeremy recommended this on the podcast a while ago, I played it and I was maybe in the wrong mindset, or like I said, when we brought it up at the first Goaty episode, I wasn't sure what the sense of humor was. Like, I didn't know how to read it. Which feels weird, but I came into it. I think I said this to Jeremy the other night. No,
art is
of course
part of that equation.
But like at the end of my time playing it, like it clicked, and now that I've come back to it, and I finished the last 5 chapters. I finished 3 of them today. I love it. It's so funny. Like now that I know how I'm supposed to, I'm not like coming into it with the Jeremy Jane hype of like, this is the best game ever made. Now I'm just
hard
like,
not to overhype a game.
Yeah, way to
love.
go, dude. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. No, you did a good job explaining it. I just went into it like, this must be one of the most important games of all time. It's like a Jacob Geller video. It's like, what shapes am I going to see when he says something like that? But no, this was like, yeah, very funny. There's a lot of moments, especially in the back half, the last 5 chapters, where there's a whole like, what's the word? Focus group episode. It's like a chapter that's all about basically, I don't know what specifically he's talking about, but like how art by committee just becomes this wasteland. And like, it's all presented through very silly, funny writing. And these visuals that in the moment don't really, like the way that this game is drawn is very scratchy, very like Newgrounds. I don't think is an incorrect comparison. It reminds me of a lot of early Newgrounds
aesthetically
stuff.
For sure.
Yeah, like 100% what they're going for. But then the way that the writing and the themes overlap with some of the environments that you're in, it's very like there's a moment in that episode where it does like it completely does a different art style thing, and I was like, whoa, it starts like poking fun at AAA games, and it was like, cool, all right, now I understand the joke. Very heady though, very like super, you gotta know some stuff in some of these episodes, but also it can just be funny on its own. I don't know, I appreciated it. I'm a lot more curious what Frank and Danny thought. Frank especially, because I know you like this kind of art style. It was like while I was playing it the first time, I was like, oh, this is kind of like Slayer's X a little bit. Like it's got that sort of punk, I don't give a hell what you think.
It's got one foot in the early aughts or
yes,
something.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's very like, even like art style, also like very early aughts, like Adult Swim stuff. Like it looks like home movies, or this game also feels like it would exist within the Smiling Friends universe, where everything is just like so pure anarchy and satire. But Jeremy's right, where it's like, oh, there's a heart. Each episode, like the way every episode concludes is like, it's like being pushed off like at the end of a roller coaster. It's like, oh, the ride's over, but it has this very like profound conclusion with a very sharp joke also. Like even one joke that like killed me, it's so dumb, is like I think I did 7 out of the 9 episodes, but like there's one that was all about like the music scenes.
Yeah. I love that one.
I think it was Ears of the Killer. And it's like cops are about to like, capture this girl. It's like, we're looking for these punks. It's like, oh, I'm not punk. I'm more new wave. And the cops are like, there's a new wave? And then later, this band is playing, and all of a sudden the band is playing on a beach, and a giant like 100-foot wall of blood is like rushing towards the band. And the girl's like, what's that? And the band's like, that's the new wave. And like the town is destroyed and flooded and everyone dies. But dude, the last fans of this music scene lived on to complain about on the internet, and then the scene died out. And like, but it was like that because it's like, also there's a poster. It's like, now introducing the 4th wave of ska, and that was the thing that's like, oh my god, like that fact that someone acknowledged the 4th wave of ska is like, because like I grew up on the like Aquabats message board, and everyone argued and yelled at each other about 3rd wave ska, 2-tone ska, and like it's like, oh, this is so specific to like music nerd geek crap. And I'm like, yes. So like, yeah, this game feels like it exists on the same platform as like one of my favorite games, which is like Frog Detective, which is the same thing of just like so like kind of dopey but sweet and funny and miraculous. And Yeah, Slayer's ex Hypnospace Outlaw. There's an episode where like her sister becomes like a web developer for like a cult that sells horror novelty CDs, and like it's just like it's everything about this game is like, oh, this is great, this is great, this is great, this is great. So like, yeah, it's I feel like maybe we do get one of these games a year or every few years, but like, man, this is exactly the kind of thing I like. And I like too that like, this doesn't feel like a video game. So this kind of felt like a breath of fresh air from all the other stuff we were playing, where it's like, oh, there is no puzzles. It's literally you're just walking through stuff and interacting with a few things. And then, there's chase scenes, but a lot of the ways the scene ends is you have to get captured and killed. And it's just like, also the music is so bonkers and insane.
Really
there's times
good.
where times where I had to lower it because there's one or two chapters where the music episode where it's like,
dude, where it cuts to the band and it's like they're playing the new song, screaming, 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 and I was like, oh, I wonder what that's gonna be. And it cuts and it's 3 zombies just going.
Yeah, but there's music times where it's really cool and again, like Hypnospace Outlaws thing. And then it was funny to play it episode by episode because I think like the game was developed over the course of like 4 years. They put out new episodes, so you'll see like especially by episode 5 and 6, there's now like 3D models and stuff in here, and the art style.
It definitely shifts. You can tell like this was a craftsman getting better at their craft, you know.
Yeah,
for sure.
And then, I'm sorry, Frank, I cut across.
I was just generally charmed by it. And it's the kind of thing, like, I know Jeremy suggested, like, oh, get to episode 8 and 9. But I started playing, I was like, oh, no, everything in here is, like, really good. And I didn't want to
so glad, dude. I didn't want anyone to skip. It's acknowledging what you guys were talking about, that, like, it feels like the final 2 episodes, it feels like it's so polished and has really honed in on what the voice of this thing is. Yeah. That, like, I didn't want someone to play the first 3 and get a sense of what this was because it grows so much over time.
I did skip because of that, just to so I could get a better picture of kind of where it went. It wasn't. It was either it kind of was not for me, or / also maybe I wasn't in the right mindset. I think weirdly enough, I think the fact that I was playing 1000xResist and Lorelei didn't help. I think those were like games that I was so into, and are also games where you are a lady walking around interacting with shit.
Oh, yeah,
and I was like, oh, those ones are giving me a functional reason to go back that I wasn't getting from this. I'll say, like, I'm the type of person who like loves. I think when whoever said this is a zine in the form of a game, I think that hits it right on the head, and is kind of largely the reason why I necessarily don't connect with it, and also maybe some other people won't, is because a lot of zines I like the idea of a zine, but I always feel underwhelmed after having read a zine. I don't know what it is about it. It's just there's something like creatively. Maybe it like exposes something in me or something. And then also the way, like, and I found it funny. I thought it was funny. I thought the writing was really good. I really like the music. I think the art style is completely fucking bananas and charming in a way that like, it was like, there was nothing about it that I thought was like bad. It just was stuff that, you know, wasn't appealing to me at the time. And I kind of didn't want to force it, because I was like, the worst thing I can do is force myself to play this and then come away feeling irritated because I had not used my time in a way I felt valuable, nothing to do with the game. You know what I mean? Like, you just
if it doesn't click, it doesn't click. Yeah. I mean, that was when I initially mentioned this game. The first thing I said was, I think this is a game that a lot of people will play and be like, I don't really understand why you love this game so much. And I think a handful of people will be like, holy shit, this is a fucking miracle.
I get why someone else might, but it's just, there's also like a sort of I don't know what it is. I don't have the vocabulary. I don't have good words, but there's a type of, kind of relationship with the world that I particularly do not have. I don't necessarily like the relationship I have with the world is very, I don't think is necessarily particularly common, or like I've had difficulties in my life like everyone has. I have mental health issues and I was bullied a lot as a kid and yada, yada, yada. But I don't have, it reminds you of stuff like A Scanner Darkly and other media where the person in the world has a sense of victimhood that I don't have. And I've never been a victim in a way that would push me in that way. But certainly in the way, like, I think society is like bad and has problems and is something, but to me, it's not something that breaks me. It's something that I have to defeat. Like that's the way I relate to the world.
Did you feel like this protagonist was like exhibiting victimhood though? Because I feel like the sense of humor in this is so much that the world is absurd and often hostile, and the killer itself is a metaphor for like history and the forces of history. And I think that like there's no point at which BB is like, and I'm on the other end of the knife. She's just like laughing through it.
I don't know. Yeah, for whatever reason, I that's what I was feeling, was that similar sense of, everything is, and it's the world is bad and every situation is absurd, and why do we have these sort of structures and here are, and in a way they're like meditations on stuff like that for whatever reason my brain, I go past that. I just go, okay, like the way I've explained it to like therapists and stuff is like the reason why I love video games so much is that I see the world as one. Like I see the world as this set of rules, which I didn't fucking decide. I was born into this universe, and unfortunately or fortunately, here are the things that are in my favor and here are the things that are out of my favor. How do I wield the things that are in my favor to get over the things that aren't? And that's the way I've related to the world my entire life, and it's probably not healthy, and it's in many ways I've sacrificed big parts of my life in a way to focus on the way in which I can get autonomy and control, like use my agency to control the reality that I get to inhabit. And it's a big reason why I work for myself, and it's big it's so for whatever reason there's certain art that comes from a perspective that feels like the inverse of that I just personally don't connect with at all. And I don't see it as a bad thing or a good thing. It's just that there are certain ones that I go, oh yeah, okay, it's one of those, and I just don't. I'm like, okay,
that's really interesting. I didn't get that from Anthology of the Killer. It kind of just felt like a story about, if anything, I think BB's character kind of acknowledges the things that are wrong with the world and perseveres despite them. Like she sees how messed up things can be in certain situations. She learns about how bad the theater world is, or really the player does, from what's exposed to them through what they're doing. But I get like what you're saying actually makes a lot of sense. But I think Anthology of the Killer, maybe it's something that comes from the earlier chapters and you kind of become more understanding of where BB's coming from. And the later ones are more about building off of that. Like you don't need to learn who BB is and how she feels about the world. They just present you with the interesting stories. So maybe that's something you would have got if you played more of the.
Yeah, Jeremy did say that as well, that like so much of the, like that it is an anthology. Well, I guess when we say, sometimes when you think anthology, you think of like sort of distinct separate stories, but this thing is kind of building a larger narrative as well. Like, or it's based in a world that you understand more of the more you play. Is that true?
Yeah. They're all standalone vignettes, but there are definitely running themes and sort of like a growing sense of understanding of the world. And then the final, like the finale references chapters 1 and 4 pretty heavily. So yeah, it definitely builds a larger story. I see what you're saying too. I think that the perspective that this game embodies in my mind is that while it is like critiquing things about the world or calling into question, like, why is this the way it is? This is so absurd. This is crazy. I feel like it's like, it's not doing the thing that some media or art does when it embodies that perspective and is like, and I'm outside of that, and I'm like the fucking rogue element who like sees through the fucking matrix. I really don't think that's what this game is doing at all, because I think BB is like, she's immersed in this world. Like she wants to make her zine. She wants to like have her own cultural niche. She wants to be like of this world. Like she is trying, that is her whole like impetus as a character, is to find her place in this absurd world. And so it's not that she's like, I'm a victim, like the history is a killer and I'm at the other end of the knife. It's that like it's more just like, I don't think she feels victimized by the world or like has antagonism towards it. I think that the world itself is sort of a separate character here, and that like maybe the player can draw that conclusion that when you have like BB and the world, it's sort of this David and Goliath thing. But I think that the text itself, the game itself, does not present BB as a person who is exhibiting any sort of victimhood. And in fact, I think like all she really wants is to have like an authentic and stable existence doing what she cares about within this world.
Yeah, she just wants to make zines. That's it.
Yeah, she just wants to make zines and be able, and that is sort of like a recurring theme throughout this, is that there are people who are like artists and people who make art and people who think about art and stuff, and oftentimes those people are presented as sort of the antithesis of that, where they're like, like, I need to understand the ultimate truth of art, or like I need to like make the ultimate song that like breaks through all the bullshit, man. And I think BB as the avatar of the player is kind of the antithesis to that, where like occasionally it's like poking fun at herself, and like there's another character who makes zines that they poke fun at, as like they released one zine and then the second zine never came out because it had a budget of like $100 million for the second episode. So it's like it's doing all of these jokes about creativity and people's differing relationships to it. But I think BB is sort of the pure element at the core of it, who doesn't feel victimized by the world. She just wants to like do her thing.
Yeah, but I didn't play enough of this to have the read. It was, I mean, she's literally a victim in terms of like there are people hunting and trying to kill her.
Yes, that is
true.
I
felt like every chapter was like a new, like, oh, let's try this. And
but her response to it. But I feel like her response to it is like, even when the killer catches her and she's on the table about to be dismembered and sliced up, she's cracking jokes and slips away unharmed. It's almost like it's like a Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner thing, where the Roadrunner is never like, oh, woe is me, the coyote has got me and he's gonna like fucking slice me up. The Roadrunner just says fucking meep meep and runs off and escapes. and the only thing that the Roadrunner does is to serve to make Wile E. Coyote seem as even more bumbling of a villain. And so I think BB is sort of this pure character at the core of this, who her relationship to the world is not as a victim. Her relationship to the world is to paint the rest of the world as a killer. But I don't think she identifies as a victim in any way.
I don't even think the world is absurd to her. Like everything, she seems to just be
it's her
like,
world.
whatever.
Yeah,
Everyone's a killer.
No,
it's absurd to us. Like we're, as the player, it's exposed to us that like this is messed up. Like she's only confused when she goes to a city and sees all these buildings on fire. She's like, what's going on? They don't have a fire department? That to her is weird. But people having their windows boarded up is like, yeah, it's Saturday. What do you mean?
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because I think that the absurdity of the world is not painted in a way where the game is constantly being like, and there's this one character who's like, this is so fucked up, man. Like the like Dale Gribble or whatever. It's normal. And yeah, I don't know. I think that's why it's so brilliant at painting this feeling of like alienation and isolation and just like absurdity, is that like, I don't know. It feels like you're like on fucking mushrooms going to the corner store. You're like, it's so I've got all these like coins and I'm trying to like buy a fucking pack of papers.
I'm trying to get a pack of Bolitro, man. Where's my dad?
Is this enough? Like, I have all this metal for you, man. Is this enough metal to get some of that? And they're like, you need to go home, dude. Your pupils are huge.
How would you reward this game? How would you award?
Okay, I thought a lot about this because I knew this was
good.
going to be a tough one. I think it has to be something like, I haven't found the words for it, but the idea is there. It's you're not getting off that
Donald
easy.
Trump ass fucking thing to say.
I have
the concepts of an idea.
I've got the concepts of an idea. The idea is not.
Concepts of a plan.
It's like I referenced this earlier. It's like a funhouse mirror that reveals truth as it abstracts. And so I was trying to, it's like a two-way funhouse mirror, like in an interrogation room, or alternatively, it's like a pair of prescription glasses, but the glass is funhouse mirror glass or something that like as it abstracts, it clarifies.
That's like the They Live glasses.
Yes. Yes.
They Live glasses. Yeah, something like that.
My brain is just saying call it best zine.
Zine's not bad. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Just from what you guys came up with. If you can, but yeah, what do you guys think? I feel like I'm pleading the fifth on this because I feel like my input is irrelevant, essentially.
No,
it's
not irrelevant.
No, I get it. It's too punk for you. I get it. It's fine. No, I'm just kidding. I'm
too
totally
cool
kidding.
for you, man.
I get it, man. I mean, if you were like a little cooler, maybe you get it.
The non-normie award.
Yeah.
It's not for normies.
Too cool for you award. Number two.
Exactly.
Cool with a KEWL. Number 4.
Then a cool S.
Yes, of course.
A super S. Yeah, no, this is, I don't know. It's like the Funhouse Mirror of Truth Award or something. It's like something.
That's exactly no shade. That's exactly the kind of award you would have seen in that music episode of Anthology of the Killer.
No, I know. That's why I'm trying to find a better way of doing it. I don't want to be like the parody critic from an.
You're going to be in chapter 10. It's going to be all about your ass.
It's going to be about games journalists.
I mean, like Funhouse Mirror Award also does work because like that is such a good way of describing it. It really is a funhouse mirror, but
Yeah.
My brain, I mean, I'm like stuck thinking of like Devo and New Wave because like the game does have the very same sense of humor that Devo had when they were coming out in the early 80s and just mocking everything. It was the same thing of like, well, all of our friends got murdered at the Kent State shootings. Let's make art and scream through MTV music videos. It's like that energy is very punk and New Wave, and I'm trying to think of like how to distill it, but it also like IGF gave it the Nuovo award, which is like their award for like the most weird out there game.
Oh, that's cool.
But it does represent like, I don't know.
Can we give it the Nuovo award? Can we?
Nuovo 2.
That's so fucking deja nuovo. I'm looking up the wiki for distorting mirror.
Oh, brother.
Listen, I need a
No,
little
it's
inspo
good.
here.
It's fine. Funhouse Shutter Shades award.
Oh, they're sometimes featured as a literary device in fiction, such as in Hans Christian Andersen's The Snow Queen.
Dude,
Is that
we'll
anything?
call it
Does that help?
The zine was called Rosebud. Well, that's what it was. We'll just call it that. There you go. Get all
It does
heady
have
with
like a Hans Christian Andersen Aesop's Fable thing going on. I don't know if that will help us find an award name, but that is an interesting wrinkle.
it. So like a famous Newgrounds clip.
Best Newgrounds game
Pico.
2024.
Fable.
Pico shoots up yeah. No, Pico didn't shoot up the school. He saved the school from a school shooting. I don't want to besmirch his good name.
All these games are hard to give awards to.
Yeah,
Except
we
for
have one
Lorelei
for
for some
Lorelei.
reason.
We do
Yeah.
have Killer 7 Seal.
So good.
Is it Killer 7 Seal of approval? No, that's probably.
I just like Killer 7. That just sounds cool.
Killer 7
Yeah.
Seal works.
Seal of approval is funny, but I like it better as just the thing. Yeah.
It's short and sweet.
Yeah, it's too much going on. 1000xResist story best AMA 1000 thumbs up for some of those too. I'll be back in 2 seconds. You guys keep
Yeah,
going.
yeah,
I'll be
yeah.
back
Sure,
in
do your
just
thing.
2 seconds.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
All right, boys. We got to crack this before he gets back.
If we get both before he gets back, that'd be awesome.
We all get a raise.
Yeah. Podcast listener, that is a joke. We do not
That's a
get a raise.
joke. That won't happen. Yeah, I don't know.
What
Also,
do you do
if
for
you-
1000 times
wait.
resist?
I'm gonna post this picture in our staff chat. The wiki picture for Funhouse Mirror is very disturbing. I just checked the staff chat.
need to
Oh,
see this.
Jesus.
It's this kid. He's
Oh
all
my God.
stretched out.
That's an SCP thing, man. I ain't
He looks
getting
like
down
a
with
fucking
that.
Silent Hill villain. I'm deleting it from the staff chat.
Good thing
before
he's got
Dave
his
gets
name
back.
on his hat so he doesn't forget.
Don't ever
Lewis.
tell him that this was here.
Can we give 1000 times resist like the call your mom award?
To call your mom
The
award.
you should call your mom award.
Yeah, it's something about. I feel like the fact that it's about generational trauma and cycles of resistance is important.
Yeah.
Like or cycles of violence and I don't know. It's like
Give it the trauma all the way down award.
it's trauma all the way down.
Take that,
That's pretty
John
good.
Green.
That's pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Something
So
about like
many layers.
reverberation too, or resonation. Like the game resonated with me, but it also is about these themes that resonate through time or something. I don't know. Name it. This is the episode that will probably have the 3 hardest to name award titles.
Well, 2 of the 3. It turns out Lorelei was really easy if you just dropped a bomb on us.
Well,
Killer
Frank
7
fucking
Seal.
laid it up for me
Yeah.
by mentioning both 7 Seal and Killer 7.
Frank's so good at that.
I'm just the dot connector.
He's got that Rolodex of references up there.
No, like with Anthology the Killer, I'm still stuck on Devo because their first album was like, "Are We Not Men?" And I just think of like, "Are we not game?" But that's true, because that's what Anthology is. I don't know. But I just
Are we not the
Are We Not
game award?
are we not?
Devo Pillar? No, there's nothing there. Don't delete that from the podcast.
So Devo also is like new traditionalist. Like every album title, again, I'm trying. Devo's like. What's the? It's like
Call some
Dade,
Devo albums.
Dadaism.
Oh,
It's like,
Dadaism?
it's like that. It's like very. This game is Dadaism too. It's like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
That's actually, there may be something about Dadaism.
but then
I
there's
think it's
also,
okay
like,
to do an inside baseball one for this because that's kind of what Anthology of the Killer
I don't know
is.
anything about Dadaism. I'm not like a fucking fine art scholar, so I'm going to have to Google some shit.
perfect. That I think makes perfect sense because that's 90% of this game is shit I don't know a single thing about.
That is the other funny thing is that I am shocked how much Stephen Gilmurphy knows about so many fucking things.
Yeah.
This game is like hanging out with your friend who knows about everything, and you're just like smoking a joint, being like, "Yeah, well, that's fucking crazy,
Bro,
man."
Jeremy, I'm sorry. It's like hanging out with your ass. What do you mean?
Well, I'll take that as a huge compliment.
It's the
but
biggest one I could get.
And then the Anthology of the Killer also reminded me of like of what is it, the German Expressionism, because it's like there's that movie M, which is all about them looking for a serial killer, and then there's
Oh.
and then even what was it like the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari is also about like a creepy old man stuffing people in the coffins. Like this game feels so deep into like that. Yeah.
You're right. It is like German Expressionist, and the
Yeah.
fucking the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari is actually a fucking great pull. This game does remind me of that a lot.
Can we call it Newgrounds presents whatever you guys just said? I can't remember the name.
Represents German Expressionism.
Yeah.
Newgrounds Expressionism?
Newgrounds Expressionism.
Oh my God, that's good.
Yeah,
Newgrounds,
it's like Newgrounds German
Expressionism.
Expressionism or something.
I like that. Yeah.
All you needed was for me to fucking leave the room. That was great.
We only got 2 of them, so we're not getting a
Newgrounds
raise, is what I understand.
Because it is representing that early 2000s like shitty charm with like deep profound art movements, and that's kind of what like Diva was too. Is like, well, we want to say something.
Wait, I got it. The Cabinet of Dr. Katamari.
Oh my God.
It doesn't make enough sense, but it's fucking. I
It's
wish
a
it
shame it doesn't, because between that and Killer 7 Seal, we were on a fucking.
I know.
Although Newgrounds Expressionism is
Yeah, I think that is pretty good.
tight.
That might be good.
I like it.
That's not bad.
I think that's our best one thus far. That's definitely like put that down as the award name, and if we can beat it, we can beat
That
it.
almost also kind of defines the art movement. Like, because also I think of like Sick Animation, Smiling Friends. That did spawn from Newgrounds. It's like, these are the artists making like really fun, profound, weird art with very basic tools, and like. I don't know. I do like I come from Newgrounds Expressionism.
Yeah,
that is
that's
an art
my
movement.
fucking movement, baby.
Yeah. I feel like we just defined what the style is. Like even Hypnospace, and it's like, that's Newgrounds Expressionism.
This is a real Kaye do cinema
you're
shit.
right.
For real, it's unlocked.
Yeah.
And Newgrounds Expressionism.
I think he just named a genre of video.
I think
games.
so.
We'll
Yeah.
reference
Point
this
the genre.
podcast.
I think that's
We're
really
gonna be in
years.
fucking
They
real
talk about
books.
video games. They'd be like, yeah, there was this fine game expressionism movement journal. It was a
Like,
podcast.
Even Alien
That's an
Hominid.
episode of fucking
Yeah.
of Jane Dev right there.
Even Alien Hominid has the same art style. Like in the background,
Yeah.
everything has stupid. I mean, I may say this endearingly, like silly, dumb names, and it's like, it all comes from Newgrounds Expressionism.
Yeah. Yeah, Newgrounds Expressionism or Newgrounds Expressionist is fucking good.
Yeah. Let's leave it there for now. We've always got the right to reply later on this podcast or in the next one. 1000xResist though. This is a tricky one.
Yeah.
Especially now we've done Killer 7 Seal and Newgrounds Expressionism. It feels like this might be the deja vu of this particular episode.
No.
Not that that's not a good name.
I mean, it's not a good name, but that's kind of what makes it work.
I like it. Now anyway. Yeah. 1000 Times Resist is so tough because there's so many different things that it covers that I feel like if you focused on one for a name, you're like, it feels unfair.
And anything gameplay wise you talk about, it feels really reductive. Like,
Yeah,
It's a lot of
exactly.
walking and talking. I'm not,
Yeah. The Walking Sim Award.
I was trying to think of like what the award they gave it for science fiction, and it's like it's the Nebula Award, but it's like this game does feel like prestige science fiction, like above video game, like to me. So that's why I was like, this does feel like a literary thing, but you can't literally just call it the Nebula Award. But there's something about like honoring, like, no, this was really good science fiction. I don't know.
I do really like that though.
Yeah. Then I'm trying to think of like space stuff or
Yeah, I'm trying to think of puns on Isaac Asimov's name. But
Isn't there an award that they give out off of Asimov? Like an I don't know.
it's probably called
To
the Asimov
Asmos.
The
Award.
Asimov.
The Azzies.
That's if it's bad. The Azzies.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like the Razzies. You're right.
I want an Assy.
Oh, there's also the Hugo Award also nominates. It's like sci-fi
Yes.
stuff.
Hugo Martin gives that one out, I believe. Yeah, he goes, here's your award.
I don't know what the-
Great
I don't
job
know why
making
I'm
that
here."
video game. Yeah. Play Doom Eternal. Play Doom, the next Doom.
That's
What's
great.
it called? Doom
Dark
the
Ages?
Dark Ages.
I can't
Play
believe he's
Doom
in the call.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome.
It's gonna be awesome. Oh
My
shit.
Hugo
wicked.
Martin impression is like a 7 at it.
It's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
No, I'd say it's pretty good.
And they do have the Asimov's awards also.
There you go.
There you go.
We give it an Asimov.
Are we allowed to do
Up
that?
the Asimov.
Hey,
There's a lot of booty in this game.
That's true.
there is some booty. Yeah,
The
that's
camera
true.
angle. It took me like 7 hours to realize it.
I think that's your fault. You got Frank and Stellar Blade. Now we got you and 1000 Times
Exactly,
Resist. Just
Well,
turning
I
the
did
camera
mod
the wrong way.
it. I did
Sort
mod
of
it,
the
course.
thinking man stellar
I did
blade,
the
some say.
fan mod. Oh my god, that's very funny. That would really piss
Wait,
off a lot of
I
If
will
we
quit
didn't
my
give a shit
job
about
if
this
I
game,
use
we
that
could
word.
give it that
I
award,
like the
but no
thing-
shot.
Thinking Man Stellar Blade.
No, don't even write it down. I'm gonna
Don't
fly to
even
California
fucking
right
give
now. You
credence
Because
stop.
Stellar Blade,
You
the
stop.
robot in Stellar Blade's like a clone. Yeah.
Don't even.
That is
I like Stellar Blade.
no.
I
Get that
don't.
outta
I don't
here.
hate Stellar Blade, but I know that title is wrong.
It's
for
not.
this.
It's not. I'm not. I'm
Yeah.
kidding. I'm writing it down
Stellar
because
Blade.
it's
It's funny.
because we need to put it out into the world. That is very, very funny.
Making Man Stellar Blade.
Stop saying it, because the more you say it, the more it's gonna stick, and then I'm
The more
gonna
you
get
say
really
it, the more I
mad.
like it. Shit.
God,
I never should have said those words. Fucking
yeah.
poison.
that's all I can think about now.
I'm gonna strike through on that just so
All
we
right.
can. We know that we did it, but no.
Yeah, it's like drawing a sigil to prevent ghosts. You know, you can't
Exactly.
do nothing. You have to do something to
Exactly.
negate them.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I keep thinking of like reverberation or like it's very. I have no motion
Echoes.
on a word.
Echoes
play.
of wisdom.
Zelda, the echoes of wisdom.
Did anyone play that new Zelda?
Wife did. She likes it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I trust her opinion.
Zelda Imsim. It's
She
good.
picked hers. She picked hers.
Yeah. Sorry.
Plucky Squire.
We've got the Cassie Award already given out.
There's also something about this game's become like being the result of COVID and the pandemic. Like there's been so many works of art made out of the pandemic, but it's like, oh, is this one of the best examples of it? Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
It's
Yeah.
like really overtly about it, but it's somehow both super about that and also not super shit.
Yeah.
You know? It's not, you know. I was thinking before about like if you had released Contagion today, it would be the most fucking on the nose
Oh, yeah.
M. Night Shyamalan thing you've ever seen. But like when you go back and watch it, you guys ever
Yeah,
seen
the
it?
fact that it predates the COVID
It's
pandemic is
fucking
like, what the hell?
Crazy.
I
It
watched
was
that
like,
in the middle of it too, which was bad.
Yeah. I went back. I was like, let's see now this weird science fiction thing. Let's see how on the nose it is. And I'm like,
I'm
oh,
like,
this is yeah.
I
Yeah.
just saw the
yeah,
future.
Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah.
Well, washing
Good
our
movie.
fucking groceries. That was during the washing our groceries time I watched that shit.
Yeah, same. Yeah. So like in the middle of the movie where it reaches that point, not literally that point, but around that point, and then the rest of it, you're like, oh no, they're gonna quarantine Chicago.
Right.
Don't
It's
do
gonna
it.
get worse. Anyway.
I was trying to think of like there's nothing that rhymes with the word scanner, but I was trying to think of like a scanner darkly or something because there is something very like Philip K. I was going to say
Oh, yeah.
Dickian, but I feel like that sounds wrong.
I feel so bad. We have no good
Dickensian?
names for this. It's all
Dickensian would be Dickens.
I know, Ian.
Yeah. Philip
That's why we
K.
can't say it.
Dick adjacent. It's Dick
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 adjacent.
adjacent. Stop
God
saying
damn it.
good
That's
award
Stellar
names for
Blade.
this. That's
There are
Stellar
very-
Blade.
That's you're right, yeah. There are very few penises in 1000 Times Resist as well.
Also true.
Entirely.
So there is also the Arthur C. Clarke Award. So there's so many
Too many
science.
awards, what I'm hearing.
Yeah. So is there like something in video gaming that represents science fiction? Like,
Jeff Key. Oh, sorry.
Give it a Keeley. Yeah.
Awards.
but like what is other peak science fiction within video games? Again, nothing even comes. Mass Effect.
It's also okay. Wait, here's this might have some motion on it. What about like because the game is about not only sort of like understanding cycles of trauma and resistance and political violence and oppression, but also sort of like breaking the chain on those. There's because I was thinking this game is like a machine that turns trauma into art or something. But there might be something about like breaking the cycle here because I feel like that's sort of what this game is about. It's
What's
about, like,
Tom
Creed
Morello's
album?
guitar say
breaking
on
the
it?
cycle?
Isn't it?
I don't know. I never listened to Creed.
Or it's either Creed or someone.
Let's see, just googling breaking the cycle.
Stained.
I also got breakingthecycle.com. Breaking the cycle of violence through forgiveness. That sounds like some heavy therapy shit. I'm not going to click on that.
You could listen to a Stained album. That would just get you halfway there.
Yeah. Look at the Ouroboros of pain. What was the Signalis Award? Was like a cosmic void of sorrow.
No,
or
that's what
something?
the developer replied to the episode and was like,
Yes.
oh, I liked that name. And then we gave it like survival horror homecoming, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Cosmic Void of Sorrow.
Yeah, that would have worked here too. But it's not like, it's hopeful at the same time.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like a fucking it's a bomb, an emotional bomb. Exploded at a public place, killing
Whoa.
many.
Whoa. Perhaps in Boston.
Whoa.
What about
What
about the Sacco
finished
and-
chapter 6 yet, guys.
Sacco and Vanzetti.
Yeah, they go to
3
Massachusetts
minutes away.
at the chapter 7.
This is the Luigi Mangione official.
Oh no.
It's a game that starts with assassination. I'm
It's
just
true.
connected
It
dots
is
here.
good. You nailed it.
I don't think we should call it that.
No, I agree.
Is there something in universe that you could reference? 'Cause I know there's
there's
like
a
the
lot of-
All-Mother that you always talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot of like inside things that they say, like Hecky Grace or square to sphere,
Oh my
6
God,
to 1 or
all
1 to
that shit's
6.
so good.
Yeah, so sci-fi. Well, I love when they have, it's almost like saying choom all the time. It's almost like that. Love that kind of in-universe stuff.
Oh, who's the guy who made Scientology?
L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah, the L. Ron Hubbard Award.
No.
Planet Ship Earth Award or whatever it's called. What was it?
Spaceship Earth. Spaceship Earth.
Battlefield Earth.
Battlefield.
Oh yeah,
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
Battlefield.
Battleship
latest
Earth.
game.
It's a different.
My favorite dice game. This one's tough, man.
It is.
This one is tough. We might have to plead the fifth for a week on this one.
Yeah, I'm not against it. It needs time to stew, much like the game did with me.
Making Man Stellar Blade.
It is right there. You're right.
So fucking bad, but I love it. So
Yeah,
much.
I do too.
It's
I would
a crime to do that.
Literally,
I
I would. I don't know what I would do, but something bad if that's what the award was. But also, I really like it. It's really funny.
It's unfortunately a dunk on a good game and not a dunk on a particular subsection of dipshits.
Yeah.
That's the problem with it. Is that like I'm not willing to besmirch the good name of Stellar Blade just to dunk on a bunch of little creepy weirdos.
Creeps.
Um,
And it works too because Stellar Blade is like inspired by Nier Automata, and so is stop. I'm convincing myself.
there's-
Oh,
there's
Nier
a lot.
Automata also does the whole cycles and clones stuff too.
Yeah.
all right, I'm writing down Nier. I'm writing down the Resistance is Futile Award.
It is. There's something telling, and I feel like maybe this might be the place for it. But like, science fiction novels has 6,000 awards to give towards good novels. There's no sci-fi award for best game. Like, there's no best sci-fi game of the year award.
Call it
no,
best
no,
sci-fi game.
right? Like, but it's like that's why it was like, oh yeah, the Arthur C. Clarke Award, the Nebula Award. It's like there's so many.
That's a good point, actually. Who's like who's the Games World equivalent of like an Asimov?
Yeah, that's
or
right,
yeah.
Isaac C.
That's
Clarke?
it. Yeah, he was trying to ask her.
No, I know.
My thought
I'm
was
just
like
confessing
maybe
it to-
Gabe Newell because of like Half-Life stuff, but like I don't know.
Gabe Newell Award.
But there has to be other sci-fi.
No, the only game that's getting the fucking Gabe Newell Award is Dota 2.
Yeah.
So, although when we were interviewing him, he said he was looking forward to Stalker 2. So, hopefully, a game that did not make our top 10. So I'm not allowed to talk about it here, but hopefully they'll keep patching it. All right, I'm gonna let's
call it.
Yeah, we're gonna call it. We have a decent amount of time between the next recording. We're recording is it Tuesday next week? I think is the next time. So we have a bit of time. So okay, for the moment, we have the interim title for 1000xResist of the Thinking Man Stellar Blade.
Oh
Awards.
God.
Just to really light the fire under your arses for next week. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes wins the Killer 7th Seal, and Anthology of the Killer wins the Newgrounds Expressionism Award. We also, can mix these up if we feel like we've come up with something else in the interim. They joined Balatro. My dad went out for a pack of Balatro and never came home award. Astrobots, they made one like they used to award. UFO 50's Deja Nu with the Umlaut award. And Mouthwashing's Burns as It Cleans award. The next episode of this podcast, we'll be playing a couple of little games, some quick ones you can bang out in an afternoon.
Weekend, yeah.
Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, Metaphor, Fantasio, and Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. And we will be doing our community podcast after that. At time of this recording, you have about 48 hours to get your community.
Which means they can't possibly hear it.
Right? Is it? Wait, am I right? Was
No,
it? Yeah,
we're ending it on the 13th, right? Because we're
we are.
recording
Oh,
the.
so no. Then you lost your chance.
So
Sorry.
negative days to
Yeah,
get
sorry.
Exactly. So don't worry about it. But we will have that podcast up just after Christmas as well. Yeah, on January 3rd, I believe. Cool beans.
Yeah,
Nice
can't
work,
wait.
gents. Some great games.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about Game of the Year is getting exposed to games that I wouldn't have played.
Yeah. I'm really relieved that at least one of the two of you liked both of these games, because I know Jeremy was a little concerned about Anthology, and I was like, there's no way anyone else is going to like 1000 times, but it sounds like it worked for you, Danny, which is great.
And Frank,
And Frank really
three
liked
people
Anthology.
all 3 games. I feel like, yeah. I think
Frank, if you ever scroll back in this episode and watch my face when you were talking about Anthology of the Killer, I think it's probably the hardest I've ever fucking cheesed and smiled for any segment of the podcast ever.
I mean, again, I don't know if those like, but it's like that's the style of like, we have to literally talk about Newgrounds, but it's like that weird Gonzo internet art is what I grew up on. Like, so it's like anything that still is carrying that torch in 2024. Which again, Smiling Friends blew up. It's because like it's that same thing of like, yes, this is awesome. Like, it's not where it's like it's just communicating the joke and the ideas. But even that art is so charming. But again, I buy comic books every week. It's like I love that. I don't know. I mean, even my whole anything I produce, it's that like just get the punk. It goes back to Devo.
Yeah.
Anyways.
It just made me very happy that it connected with you because there's a world in which I was like it won't click, and there's a world in which this is like one of your favorites of the year. So I was just very happy that it did.
And you know what makes me happy? Our Battle Pass holders, who I forgot to talk about. I'll do it backwards because we're at the end of the podcast here. We're in topsy-turvy land. Of course, all of our folks over at patreon.com/noclip, including our Battle Pass holders, Ryson, Tohir Tiliev, Jacob Godserve, George Sakotis, Alex Goucher, Alex Sharp, Zachary Snader, Cameron Laird, Eric Hamilton Schneider, Jonathan Kremen, Forrest Pruitt, Tim Robinson, Ewan Nate, Aaron L. White, Pez, Sven Huster, David McGarry, Tucker Morgan, Mark Rojas, James Brown, Richard Matheson, Arno, Harry Flanagan, Eamon Slattery, Senator Armstrong, Penelope Hayes, and It's a me, Ferrario. Thank you all so much for supporting us. This podcast and many more podcasts before and probably after. This is the last podcast before Santa comes down the fucking chimney with all those presents. So happy Christmas. Happy whatever. Hanukkah. Fucking what else we got? Fucking
Kwanzaa.
Kwanzaa bot. Shout out to Kwanzaa bot.
Yeah, my
Futurama.
3 favorite Futurama characters.
The what a Festivus or whatever.
Yeah, for the rest of us. Yep.
Exactly. Is there a pagan one? I don't think there is. Just a fucking
Winter solstice. Winter celebrate.
Yeah, it's not 25th though, is it? I don't know. It's in the region.
Ask
Happy
the
New
church
Year.
when they moved it.
Does Scientology have one? Is this the day that the fucking mountain exploded?
Yeah, this is when all the alien spirits left.
The volcano
they went up
shoots
to
out
the sky.
all the fucking
weird.
thetans.
It's weird how it's always nice pull.
Yeah.
It's weird how it's always December 25th with this shit.
Yeah, almost like they're trying to line it up.
Exactly. All right. Yeah. So have a good one. Thanks so much. Hope you have a nice time with your friends, family, or on your own, or whatever you're up to. Spoil yourself this December 25th. On store.noclip.com.
Coming soon to stores.
Exactly. We'll be back next week to talk about a couple of video games. Until then, bye.